It has been 453 days since now 16-year-old Sebastian Rogers vanished from his home in Hendersonville. His disappearance sparked national headlines, but now his father says the case is losing momentum. With National Missing Children's Day coming up on Sunday, he is raising his voice and demanding urgency. News 2's Caitlin.
I went and talked to neighbors, and every single one of them, every single one, welcomed me. And if they had video surveillance, they gave it to me. The only person that would not talk to me, as the only person that had something to hide and wouldn't talk to me. You know, she has a son that's hiding and waiting for somebody in the dark, late night on the 25th. And there needs to be some explaining for that. I'll just leave it at that.
That we are going to keep searching, we are going to keep looking, we are going to find him, and we are going to bring him home.
Since we first aired the video last month, authorities have said no evidentiary value.
It is of no evidentiary value. It is of no evidentiary value.
Can you tell me what those lights are?
No.
Why?
Because the investigation remains ongoing.
Yeah, I'm working on behalf of Sebastian. I am not, my client is Sebastian, and they're the guardians that have the ability to sign.
It just started. Hi, Dad. I know this is gonna sound weird, but tomorrow's picture day. So could you send some decent clothes over to me so that I can wear the decent clothes and be handsome for my birthday with decent clothes? Mom.
Because our heart is missing. He is my world. I need him. I need him back with me.
All right, we are live. Welcome, everybody. Thank you guys so much for tuning in. I apologize. I have been out for a little bit, and I know I haven't been working on this case lately just because I needed a break, and there wasn't really much going on. And then, of course, there's other cases going on. And as a YouTuber, you know, it is my job to, you know, kind of report missing people.
A voice and an exuberant smile.
Sorry. But yes, Sebastian is always in my heart, just as all of you guys. And I know one day this case, you know, hopefully justice will come. I'm sure it will. Just need to be patient. But today's live is a culmination of hundreds and hundreds of hours of work. I've told you guys about how I was creating a report that eventually would be sent to all the different agencies, including FBI. I will show you some of those, as well as some new discoveries, and two big reveals. I think one will be kind of fairly something that we've kind of pointed at, but yeah. I'm really excited for this, to show you guys this, and I do appreciate all the love and support. I do have a goal up there because I've been kind of out. If you'd love to show your support, I'd appreciate it. But here we go. We'll start off. The main focus is going to be on the 3 a.m. video. More focus on the car than the subjects 1 and 2, although we are going to put those in because we need to kind of break down the timeline, because after everything I've kind of broken down, there are some key elements in these little videos that were leaked out that kind of suggest a particular timeline of what may have happened just before and after as we look at those videos. So again, thank you all for the love and support, and let's get going. So
that have been missing for a year.
Just in case if anybody does not know this case, here is just a short little clip. Of course, this is I think around the 1-year anniversary report, but I'll just play this real quick, If you guys can't hit that like button, I promise you this will be worth it when we get towards the middle of the show here.
A year that Sebastian Rogers has gone without his favorite things.
Cats are the number one. He loves animals, almost all animals.
Animals, video games, books, and any chance in the pool.
He loves water. He swims like a fish.
Sebastian also missed his birthday.
December 7th. He turned 16, and he should be home for that.
But Sebastian, who has autism, hasn't been home since February of last year. After dinner at the Texas Roadhouse on the 25th, Katie says she and her son went home.
Did anything happen the night he went missing that was like caused him to run away? Was he punished in any way? An argument? Just a normal night?
It was a normal night. It was a calm night.
That turned tumultuous by the next morning.
It was when I went in his room and he wasn't there. He wasn't in his bed.
Katie says she frantically searched the house and drove around the neighborhood at 6:30 a.m. until she and Sebastian's stepfather, who says he was away for work at the time, called police.
We need you to search your properties every day.
But an Amber Alert and an extensive week-long search didn't yield one significant lead or even a glimpse of the boy on any doorbell cam video. Days later, investigators combed through a landfill 2 hours away, still saying they had found nothing.
There is no evidence to support foul play is involved in the disappearance of Sebastian.
But at this point, you don't rule it.
So here we are. Of course, now we are over 2 years later. Gail, thank you for all you do for the Sebastian's case. Much appreciated. Thank you so much, Gail. Again, we just have to be patient. I'm sure something will break eventually. Something will happen. But thank you so much. And Sassy, here's the snarky Chris. I appreciate thank you so much for the $5 super chat. God bless you, and thank you so much for all the help and support. Fly Girl, 22 months, nearly 2 years support. Thank you, Chris. Thank you so much, Fly Girl. God bless you. Show Poodle says, thank you for your hard work. $5 super chat. Thank you so much, Show Poodles. God bless you. Keep helping Sebastian. We will never for 14 months. That's so awesome. Thank you, Show Poodles. That is so sweet. Deanna says, Chris, thank you for all your hard work. I appreciate it. Nearly a year's support. Thank you so much, Deanna. God bless you. Juju says, Chris, you are the best creator advocate on YouTube. Your persistence for finding the truth is unmatched. Thank you so much, Juju. That means the world. I really hope that what I'm going to show you today, obviously a lot of this stuff you'll probably seen before, but I promise you I'm going to put it all together. I've been working behind the scenes, and like I said, I've been working on a report for what feels like over a year, and with AI and ChatGPT and what it allows you to do, and what I have figured out thanks to ChatGPT. It's been amazing, and so I can't wait to show everything, the culmination of it. So God bless you, Juju. Keith, thank you so much. Renewing your membership, God bless. Geneva, good to see you. Happy Wednesday, Chris. Happy Wednesday, and thank you so much, sweetheart, for the support. And I've been taking people this entire time muted. Oh my gosh, I'm so sorry. I literally just went down the entire thing muted. That's what happens when you haven't been live for a week. I literally just went down and thanked everybody. Thank you so much, Sensei, for letting me know. I was just tricking you into sending a super chat. I'm sorry. I couldn't see my chat because I had the thing pulled up. All right. Well, I did thank everybody. I do apologize. I'm only human. Anyways, I'm so sorry. I did thank everybody. We have sound. Okay, you can hear me. Awesome. I am so sorry. Let's get back on track though. But I did thank everybody. I promise you. But let's get on to this. And then if I come back, I'll come back around and kind of go a little bit faster. But that's what happens. Go figure. I do a very sincere thank you to everybody, and you guys couldn't hear me. Okay, so Sumner County, they screwed up. They know they screwed up. They have done nothing. Here is literally everything they have done up to this date. I didn't pull something today, but I'm sure there hasn't been nothing since last year. No surprise. We didn't even get anything, I think, really on the 2-year anniversary, right? I'm glad Campfire. It's terrible. But yeah, this is it. We had one press conference. This was a pretty, as far as missing person cases, this is pretty big. I mean, it's still big. I mean, if anything breaks, it'll be up there, right? But when this did originally happen, this was big. But they didn't give us anything. Nothing. And this is it. Really, most of it is just addressing rumors, the green hoodie, 1-year anniversary, and really that was just kind of a quick statement, and really just saying, debunking the 1-year anniversary con. And then there was, a photo that they believe was Sebastian. Obviously, that's happened a lot through the last 2 years. A lot of people keeping an eye out. So many, possible sightings, which is amazing for what you guys do, keeping an eye out. But anyway, yeah, that's all they have done. It's absolutely terrible. This is a press conference. We played it before. I just want to play one part because this will all come full circle. Of course, we have Craddock, who completely screwed up. But it's when the TBI agent, I know I've gone over this before, but again, this is very important. The part that she mentions, because she kind of repeats it, and it kind of tells you like, oh, this is where they're looking at. But we'll play just a little bit of Craddock. We'll jump over the TBI. This is like 2 or 3 minutes cut down.
Sumner County Emergency Management Director Ken Widener, KenWeid.
Yeah, terrible.
You guys ready? All right. Good morning. I'm Eric Craddock with Sumner County Sheriff's Office, and we're going to come to you today with an update on the Sebastian Rogers case. Sebastian has been missing since late February. The investigation remains ongoing with steadfast support from the Sumner County Sheriff's Office, the Tennessee Bureau of Investigations, and many other local and federal resources. We are exploring every lead that comes in and every tip that comes in. As I said before, the investigation remains ongoing. The entire community is deeply saddened by what has occurred. We're all extremely concerned for Sebastian's welfare. I want to encourage the community to stay vigilant, to report anything that they think may be of some significance to the investigation, no matter how minute it may appear to be to you. Please call 1-800-TBI-FIND with any tips, or the Sumner County Emergency Communications Center at 615-451-3838. We understand the anxiety and the concern that this case has caused in the community. We too share the anxiety and concern for Sebastian. I want to reiterate that we are doing everything we can to find Sebastian and bring him home. Despite the passage of time, the commitment to finding Sebastian remains unwavering. I said this when we scaled the search back. Our commitment to finding Sebastian remains. We will continue to investigate every possible lead that comes in. The Sumner County Sheriff's Office wants to express our gratitude to the community and the many individuals.
Okay, I'm just going to play one quote that's coming up, and then I'm going to skip to the TBI agent. Just play one clip of her, and then we'll get into the main meat and potatoes of this.
Who have helped in the search, the many individuals who have called in tips, the many individuals who have printed flyers and kept Sebastian's face in the news. Nothing would make me happier than to wake up tomorrow morning with a tip that cracks this case wide open and we find Sebastian and bring him home.
We've been sending in tips for 2 years. You've done nothing.
At this time, I'll turn it over to Susan Allen from the TBI.
Nothing.
Thank you, WG. Hi, good morning. Thanks for being here. We know how invested everybody is in the search for Sebastian, in finding out what happened to him.
Okay, this is a clip that I think is really important, especially when she's talking about a particular subject. It comes up in about a minute, two.
And bringing him home. And we want to let everybody know he has not been forgotten. Nobody's forgotten about him. Nobody has given up looking for him.
And if anybody's wondering, this is, I think, late March when this came out-ish. I forget the exact date. Somebody knows in the chat. I know I could just Google it. Actually, I think the date. But I'm pretty sure it was like late March.
At the beginning of this investigation, there was a large land search for him. It was very visible. There were also waterways, lakes, ponds that were searched. There were aerial searches with helicopters and drones and fixed-wing planes. They were done at night. They were done on weekends. They were done during the day. That was very visible, and it was something everybody was able to see. But we want to let you know that even though there is not that high visibility in investigating this case, that we are not done. It's gone back to what could be considered good old-fashioned police work. Interviewing individuals, re-interviewing individuals, checking out leads, rechecking leads. We have been working with other law enforcement agencies who have had, in other jurisdictions, who have perhaps had some complex cases of their own that they have worked on to get tips from them. We have had, this day of technology with everyone having cell phones and doorbells and ring bells and surveillance cameras.
So notice how she keeps repeating the same kind of material. And of course, I think this will be one of the big smoking guns in this case when it gets solved. It will. But just notice how she kind of, instead of just being generalizing it, she kind of gets more specific.
Had some complex cases of their own that they have worked on to get tips from them. We have had, this day of technology with everyone having cell phones and doorbells and ring bells and surveillance.
Doorbells and ring bells, the same thing.
Cameras. That, as you can imagine, has been a bit of a chore to be able to collect all those and then review them.
Oh, I know. I have quite a bit, and that's just from one home.
It's important so we know what's out there. We have been reviewing that, reviewing it again. We have had other agencies involved. The FBI has been helpful in that. Secret Service has also been helpful in that. So we are just trying to do.
And that already tells you right there that I know I've mentioned this 1,000 times, but clearly the fact that they repeat that how much they've had to review footage over and over and over again. Obviously, the ridiculousness of it being a garbage truck. I don't know why you would be spending so much time on a garbage truck.
Whatever we can to advance the investigation. It has not gone to a place where anybody has forgotten about him or is not pursuing this. The parents have been cooperative throughout at the beginning of the investigation. They have pretty much.
So there's that, just to kind of, blah, blah, blah. Well, there's some interesting stuff in there, Doodle, especially from her TBI, at least what she says, clearly she's hinting that there's clearly where they're paying attention to. Obviously, she also mentioned earlier that she's re-interviewing individuals. Obviously, they had toned down the search, and now they're looking inward instead of outward as if he had ran away. They are now looking inward, which really means that they're looking at some kind of foul play or, something nefarious.
Done whatever.
Okay, so now we're starting to get into the hundreds and hundreds of hours of work that I've done on this case. And again, I could never have done this without your guys' support. So please know that I would not be able to do this without your guys' support, right? Without a community that supports me, to be able to do the research that I do. And again, there's tons of people out there that help me out. All of you guys have given great, advice at one point or another, suggestion, and it means the world to me. Again, this is a team effort. Okay, so these dates are important. Nick Barris gets his hold of that security footage that we're going to go over, the 3 a.m. light video. Now, what we didn't know at the time is in this video, he neglected to share the vehicle, which is huge. Now, I think in his mind that he was probably thinking, okay, the lights I could probably, because obviously they spoke with each other, family members, extended family members. I forget exactly how it was all connected, but he clearly spoke with family members or extended family members that lived at that home, and then clearly was given some footage. Something else I was going to say. Oh, the vehicle, which is huge. And again, it was a double-edged sword, because I could see him, it's March, right? So it's only been 3 weeks-ish. Well, 2 weeks, I guess, March 13th. Just over 2 weeks. Anyway, but I could see why he'd want to hold back the vehicle, right? Because the vehicle would be something, especially if they could see the vehicle. Obviously, early days, I could see maybe the first week they would, they know that there's a vehicle, an unknown vehicle without a back license plate, and you don't need a front license plate. So, in that state, so didn't have a back license plate. And I can understand early days, you don't want that out there, right? You're hoping that your team, your FBI, all these people that they're talking about reviewing and trying to figure out this vehicle and finding out who it belongs to. And then one thing leads to another, and then a breakthrough in the case. So he held on to that, and I understand that. But it was a double-edged sword, because now it became all about the flashlights. When everybody talks about the 3 a.m., they think the flashlights. But what's crazy is it was the vehicle that they saw first. It was the vehicle. And then they just they record the vehicle, and then they just happen to notice at the same time, a little bit before and after, there's these lights just behind it moving in the background. And so this was all sent to him. So then we have the next day, March 14th, where he goes on his Facebook page and he uploads the video. Well, actually it is adulterated, because he edits out the middle part with where the vehicle's at, and it's cropped in and zoomed in, and that's done on purpose, so the vehicle which is below it you wouldn't be able to see. And then that same day, he did a video, and I find this very interesting. I've gone back to that Facebook page so many times, and this is crazy. I'm curious if anybody's got a second device.
Sebastian, 10.
Now, this is a video, and this video has so much details, right? This has so much. And, but this is what's wild. So, here, if I go to look at this video, let's see. Unless there was something weird, I've gone back to that before. Facebook. Make sure I don't want to pull up anything. Nick Barris, 3 a.m. There we go. Okay. So if you type in Nick Barris 3 a.m. lights, Sebastian Rogers Facebook, there it is, right? This is what's crazy. This was always in at least HD 720, and I don't know why. Again, it could just, I don't know. There could be other maybe logical reasons, but I just find it interesting. The quality is down to 108p, which is really terrible quality, which I find very interesting. Again, you can hear everything that he says.
Fact.
and I'll play it. But let me know if anybody's got a second device and wants to go and see and look at that video, and let me know if it's the same quality, or because before when I'd go to that video, I mean, I've clearly gone to it a bunch of times, and it's always been in HD, and I find it very odd that it's now in terrible quality. So anyway, I'm going to play this. I know I have the original, but I just didn't have time to find it. But it's really what he says, right? That's most important. So let's play this. I promise it's going to be, I don't either. I lost complete faith. I've reached out to him multiple times. I think I've even shown a screenshot where I sent him, what did I send him? Oh, I sent some stuff with the cemetery. Got no response because I would think that would be a big deal, right? Something to report. No response. I've reached out to him at least 3 times over the last 2 years. And nothing.
The video you're about to see is from early Monday morning, February 26th, around 3:10 a.m. Now, there are no street lights in the Stafford Court neighborhood, so it is...
Okay, so there's a couple of key things that he says in here, and I know I know a lot of this we're kind of regurgitating, but I promise you, I've got a big finish for this live show.
Is at night, pitch black. What you will see here are these 2 points of light believed to be people with flashlights in the area around Sebastian Rogers' Hendersonville home. It is believed Sebastian left his home barefoot and with a flashlight sometime overnight. Since his disappearance, authorities have reviewed security video from homes in the neighborhood looking for clues.
We have had several clips that have come in.
And this one is getting the most attention, showing signs of activity around Sebastian's home the night he disappeared.
Now, again, this is 2 weeks, and again, he spoke with, again, I don't know the exact details, right? I've heard it from a person, telephone game, right? But the main gist is, right, it kind of got leaked out. I think the actual homeowners were not, I'm not sure about this part with the Nick Barris, but I know the ones that got leaked to the Facebook group, which happened, I think, weeks later, sometime in April-ish. I know they weren't happy about that. I'm not sure about the Nick Barris. I think it's 50-50. I've heard 2 different versions. But either way, he has spoken with people that know what their camera is looking at during the daytime. So obviously they know where some of this stuff is at. So it's what he says here, it's all accurate.
You see 2 light sources, which we've circled to help you follow. For point of reference, the security camera was pointed toward the back of Sebastian's home in a common area. In the video, you see subject 1 with a light source in the lower right-hand corner. Then you see subject 2 briefly appear and move toward the first before that light source is covered or obscured by bushes. Subject 1, a few seconds later, then moves out of frame. Then subject 2 reappears and follows subject 1 off screen. It's a short time later, and it's very vague.
Okay, that part is huge. Short time later. I know we've gone over this. This is the part where the car comes in. And there's other things that happen that we don't know. It's not much. But again, the short time later, right? Doesn't say minutes later, doesn't say hours later, right? Again, so I'd assume he's talking minutes later, right?
But then you see one of the subjects moving quickly back through the common area, and that is it. I know, there's not much to see here. You certainly cannot identify anyone, but those close to the investigation tell me the mere fact that there is now evidence that someone is in the area around Sebastian's home is significant. This video shows suspicious activity in the immediate...
And it's interesting, like I said, I know this, I'm sorry I couldn't grab the original. I have it somewhere, but I find it very fascinating that it's the worst quality you could have it at. Anyway, I don't know if it could be a Facebook thing, but I do find that a little suspicious. But anyway, but again, he pointed out exactly where these were at. We talked about that, and that was big.
Area the night Sebastian disappeared. Could one of these subjects have been Sebastian? Did he meet and leave with someone? Sebastian's father says his son would not go with a stranger.
It's up in the air for me because I don't think he would get into a vehicle with somebody.
Nick Barris, News Channel 5.
Wait,
Are these 2 points of light believed to be people with flashlights in the area around Sebastian Rogers' Hendersonville home? It is believed Sebastian left his home barefoot and with a flashlight sometime overnight. Since his disappearance,
notice the flashlight. I swear this was, I think part of a ruse.
Authorities have reviewed security video from homes in the neighborhood looking for clues.
We have had several clips.
Bushes.
Right there.
Light source in the lower right-hand corner. Then you see subject 2 briefly appear and move toward the first before that light source is covered or obscured by bushes.
Bushes. He knew it. He knew it. We gone over kind of, I think the last live I went over, and I'll get to your comment here in just a second. Yeah, but bushes. Of course, there's not many, but there are some bushes in a tree, and there is a part when subject 2 is coming out of the ditch, and of course, thanks to Silver's. I mean, we kind of knew, but Silver's got a really nice, good view, and I've got it here in a bit. I'll show that clip that he, so graciously sent to me. But yeah. So, I mean, all these details he said, spot on, right? But he left the car out, which, again, this is like a double-edged sword because now everybody talks about the lights. But if imagine for a second that this investigation has now kind of moved, now we're about a month out. Again, I can't see it more than like 3 or 4 days. They have this car, they scan it, they do as much as they can. This car should have been out to the public. They screwed up from the beginning. I promise you. They are going to get, this is why I think they just want nothing to do with this case, because I think they know that when this case breaks and, all this stuff comes out at some point, and people know that there was a car that they could have been putting out there, just like in the Nancy Guthrie case. I know it's not a car, it's the guy, but so many other cases where there's a car that they tried themselves eternally to try to identify for the first few days, maybe give it up to a week. I don't know, if they think he's still alive and maybe abducted. I would think maybe after the first 24 hours, you can't figure it out, get it out to the public. I guarantee you they're going to get creamed. They are going to get crushed in the media about why they did not release this effing car. It drives me nuts.
Subject 1, a few seconds later, then moves out of frame. Then, subject...
They doubled down and they doubled down on this. And this was their best thing, in my opinion, in the early days. This was their best evidence to get out there to the public. Because who knows who could have seen that vehicle if we had actually been shown, the original, not the cell phone version, right? And they released, what they could. And, even though the timestamp is broken, there's so many cameras around there. I guarantee you that we would have known it a certain time. And it would have been huge. But now it's way too late. We're 2 years later. A lot of people, have moved on. Their surveillance is already written over. I'm sure I know there's some that have preserved their footage. But, there's so much that was wasted.
2 reappears and follows is significant anymore. Few updates.
Okay, so now doubling down. So that was March 14th. Then we get our infamous interview. Of course, it's just 2-3 minutes long. Then we're gonna get into the 3 a.m. car. We will touch on the lights, but I promise you, the car and everything. I want to be very careful because, I don't want to be arrogant. I want to try to stay humble, but working with AI, and I'm going to show you guys exactly what I've done. So anybody that wants to try to replicate it, please be my guest. see what you come up with. But I have narrowed down pretty much top 5 vehicles, but really I could narrow it down to 2. Pretty close to 1. Yeah. Not only that, but then one of the subjects I can almost, if I had to bet the farm, I could probably tell you who one of those subjects. I think I could probably tell you both who the 2 subjects are. And we'll go over that. That's the 2 big things. And I promise you we'll have it all kind of put together. Oh, the question. I'm so sorry. Yes, I had a thumbnail. Yes. So, yeah, I was going to do a live. I was sent a video, and I'm grateful for the video. It is interesting. It does match. I wouldn't say match. I want to be careful. It is very close to, and this is why we're, when we get further in, you'll understand why. There's, in my opinion, there's 2 different vehicles. There's the silver sedan, and then there's another vehicle. And I'll show you guys how we've kind of figured that out. But yeah, so there's a video where they're going to the Bowersox home, and there is what appears to be a Sonata, and it is very close to the silver sedan. And it's sitting there, and they drove there on December 4th. In 2024, and this was just after they had released the Texas Roadhouse. And anyway, not to get too sidetracked, I'm still looking into that vehicle. That's why I pulled that live, because if you guys know me, I don't like to just hype. I could easily take that car and mislead you guys and say, "Oh, this is the car," and kind of negate some of the factors that say, no, this isn't the car. And I don't want to do that to you guys. But there is a possibility that thing is connected. That's why I still need to work on that. Sorry, that's a long answer, but hopefully I am working on that. I'll probably have something for the patrons and members. We'll touch on it eventually. All right. So now, of course, Nick Barris gets his hands on this video. He puts it on his Facebook. And then does a couple of different things, and then I think even did a news, one of the news things in late March, and then we got April 2nd asking about the lights. Infamous video.
There's been an exhaustive search for Sebastian Rogers, but with few updates from authorities in recent weeks, some have wondered, is enough being done?
We're doing everything we can do. Every time a tip comes in, we follow up on it.
Eric Craddock is chief deputy with the Sumner County Sheriff's Office and heads up the investigation. He sat down for an exclusive one-on-one to talk about what they do when there are few new leads.
I think in the absence of information, what we'll continue to do is go back over everything we've already done once, put a fresh set of eyes on it.
To that end, Craddock says searchers recently found a pair of glasses, which they are checking to see if they belong to Sebastian. He says the parents continue to fully cooperate. Any evidence of foul play?
We have not cleared anyone, but we have absolutely no evidence to support foul play.
And I guarantee you, when this case breaks, that is going to be almost like a meme, of course, with his, statement coming up. But I guarantee you, because they know they screwed up, and I guarantee you they are going to get crushed when the public finds out that they had this vehicle, and they could have used the public's help on trying to solve this. But I think, maybe some internal politics, maybe some connections to the stink feet, whatever. I do definitely think there is some fishy stuff behind the scenes. And instead of being law enforcement and Sebastian and missing children coming first and doing the right thing, I think there was clearly some internal stuff going on.
I asked about exclusive home security video obtained from the neighborhood the night Sebastian disappeared. You can see two suspicious light sources, which we've circled here, in an area behind the teen's home. Since we first aired the video last month, authorities have said no evidentiary value.
It is of no evidentiary value.
Can you tell me what those lights are?
No,
Why?
because the investigation remains ongoing.
And so it could play a role down the road depending on developments?
We don't know what we don't know. So yes, it could play a role.
So many are, of course, closely following this case. How difficult has it been, all the noise on social media?
Oh, the rumor mill on social media has done nothing to advance this case.
Craddock says investigators continue to work the...
Shame. Where the public has helped so much in so many cases, obviously, I can't think of a single one, but obviously there's so many where the public is obviously given a tip. Maybe it's not the tip, but it is like a tip that then leads to, bigger tips. And that's just such BS.
Case daily and deal not with feelings, but facts and evidence.
There's no stone left unturned.
Nick Barris, News Channel 5.
Okay, so now we're going to get into the big stuff. Okay, I'm going to try to go over this. I'm sorry, guys, because I did earlier, and I feel so bad. Geneva, yes, Cream, yeah, oh my gosh, can't talk. Yes, Chris, team effort. Thank you so much, Geneva. God bless you. Thank you so much for the continued support for all these years. Joanne says, praying for your health to improve soon. Thank you so much. Still, off and on. But again, I look at it to where I was at a year ago, and I'd say doing better. Gypsy, thank you so much for the membership. God bless you. My amazing, wonderful mod that has been with me since it feels like day one. Over 46 months of support. Prayers for everyone, and be grateful always. Thank you so much. I can't ever express my love and support for what you have done for me and my channel and this community. Thank you so much, Jennifer. The Blue Third, one till chat coming up. Oh, thank you so much for the support. Lisa Boo, thank you so much. God bless. Juju, God bless you. Thank you so much. And thank you for the previous donation. Let's get Sebastian and Nancy home. Yeah, it'll happen. And Joelle, thank you so much for the PayPal or Venmo. I don't know why. My phone, it used to tell me which one is which, but anyway, as long as I get the notification, that's fine. But thank you so much for the support. All right, what we thought originally, because there were some things that we worked on. I've worked on for so long, and I was close. And then there's things, and this is why it does help to kind of take a break from Sebastian's case, just because you kind of get stuck in a mental block. It's almost like you get tunnel vision in a certain area. And I feel like it's been kind of a nice break with the Nancy Guthrie case to kind of, sit back, take a break from Sebastian, even though, if there was any updates, obviously I'd be on it. But, with no updates with this case, really it's just kind of trying to take whatever we have from these 2 years, which really isn't a lot, especially when it comes to the media side of things and transparency. Absolute shit. But anyway, okay, this 3 a.m. car. As you guys know, if you guys remember, at 3 a.m. on February 26th, there was this vehicle. Now, I thought it made sense. There was only from a certain camera at this home, there's only 2 cars that we knew of between 3 a.m. and 4 a.m. And we believe the 3 a.m. lights happen sometime just after 3 a.m. So we have this silver sedan, which almost lined up perfect with everything. So it only kind of made sense. And then this vehicle is seen the day before, the night of, and also the night after he went missing. And then lo and behold, we see undercover SUVs, I think different agencies, depending on the night, literally taking the same exact route as this vehicle. I think this vehicle is involved. I think this is a scout, in my opinion, allegedly. I don't think this is the vehicle that allegedly possibly picked up Sebastian, or if you thought he was moved earlier, dropped off his shoes. So we originally kind of thought that the silver sedan was seen, going up Killen first, did the U-turn, and then as it came back down, that's when it would let out one of the subjects that we see, because there's two subjects, I believe, allegedly. One is KK, and then another one is one of the passengers. But I don't believe that is the case. It made sense, right? It fit the timeline. But this part always kind of made me thought it was odd. So, why would you need to make this turn? And this is very important. I promise you, this is all come full circle. But notice that. Does that make sense? Because now all you're doing is pulling up here, but then you're going back down Killen. So if your route is to, turn around so that way you could let them out, what would be the purpose other than maybe you thought they were going to come through the drain? I guess that would be a reasonable argument, but then I guess why still turn on when you could just be right here, right? You could just be parked right here. They run through that ditch, the storm drain ditch, which up here can be about almost 5 feet deep. I think it gets around 2 to 3 deep in the shallower part. And that would kind of make sense, right? But why the 3-point turn? Seems kind of unnecessary. And then obviously you trigger the motion camera, or you trigger the motion light, and then obviously the camera captures the vehicle and these lights. So it doesn't really make sense, right? Oh, thank you, Sasha. I appreciate you taking the time out of your day to watch. I promise you, hopefully you can catch the replay, because we're going to reveal a lot. And I have some stuff that I haven't shared. I may have shared maybe back in the day, but you get so much information, and then, sometimes it's not written down or documented. You kind of forget what you hear from your sources, some things that you don't take too much into account. And then now, it all starts to come back together. Oh, thank you, Sasha. Yeah, thank you, KK. Nick Barris, it seemed like in the beginning, he's a local journalist. He's, it's not News Channel 5, or is it WSVM or something like that? But a local news channel. And then clearly has a Facebook page that he posts stuff on, and but he got really weird after. It seems like he got in trouble, especially with the footage releasing that, and then and then the fact that I know that he has seen the vehicle but never mentioned it. It's one thing to have the lights, and he knows exactly where the lights are coming from. And then the fact you add in a vehicle, I mean, come on, 1 and 1 plus 1 and 1 equals 2. I mean, that is all signs of abduction. Yet months later, I forget the next post, but he starts making a post like, oh, there's no updates, there's nothing going on, rumors are, all caca and stupid, and and the big thing is there's no signs of foul play, and it was just nonsense. Hey Moose, God bless. Oh, good to see you. Okay, All right. So now, like I said, we will touch on the vehicle or the subjects, but this is going to mainly be about the vehicle. And again, there's going to be two big reveals and how all the evidence and inside sources that I've spoken to suggest that there was another vehicle right after that silver sedan. So this is one of the leaked videos, not from Nick Barris. This is what he left out.
A neighbor told him that there was a foreign car that came into that neighborhood.
Let me turn this down. And this is, of course, for anybody that hasn't been here for a little bit. Yeah, exactly, Lisa. Yeah, Amber Alerts are really, yeah, that's where a lot of people are like, what? So, yeah, it usually means some kind of abduction. Right, exactly. So, just a little bit of details about this video. Go back just a little bit. Because all this is very important, I promise you. This person, of course, we've talked about this many times. They were recording it on their cell phone. So there was a video, the monitor was playing. They were at the actual home that had the surveillance. And again, I can't remember if it was like a cousin or something that did this, or if it was actually one of the home people that live at the home, and then they did it, and then they sent it to extended family member or friend or something like that. Then that was the person that leaked it out. But anyway, the main thing here is there's two things that happen that are very, very, very important. When they play this clip, they hit play, but they pause it. That is very important. The second this vehicle turns on its lights, they pause it. Now, which is kind of a bummer. And then they, instead of zooming in, they zoom in with their phone. Now, this is the issue because people start seeing all these little dots and everything and think that there's, could stuff be going on. But remember, right now, this video is now paused. It's been paused the second the light was turned on. So with her zooming in with her phone is actually just going to make things really worse. It's not going to help. If she took the original video, or they took the original video and then zoomed in, on the original, that would be a different story. You might have something different. But because they're taking a phone and they've got lights in the room, it's the closer you look at it, the less information you're getting, if that makes sense. Because it's distorting what's really there. And I'll explain here in a little bit. Some of you may be confused, and I apologize. But I promise you, we'll explain it all. But you can see the light. Notice how it's kind of light right here. You can almost see the person's phone or hand. It's almost like they have it like this. You can see the reflection of them from the monitor and the room they're in. So anyway, we move on. So we thought that the vehicle had turned on, and we thought it was the silver sedan, right? And I thought it was the headlights. I knew just because of early reports and inside information that there was multiple potential witnesses, and I'm just going to say allegedly, that said that they saw what looked like a sedan. Even the homeowner allegedly said it was some kind of sedan. And we have plenty of evidence to support that. So much. But I was always stuck on two things. Why couldn't we see the actual headlight itself, right? That didn't make any sense. We could see the light beam, but we couldn't see the actual headlight. And that frustrated me very badly. But there's an answer to this. Oh, thank you so much. I know I do have the best mods. Yeah, before we get to the end of the live, there's a couple of mods I need to get in contact because I want to, we were going to do a mod appreciation, and I want to be able to do that here soon. Okay. So zooming in, we have this, this light beam, and then we have the tail light. And remember how I told you guys, the closer you're looking at something, in this context, the fact that they're not zooming in on the footage, but they're zooming in on their phone, may be distorting the lights, even though they're kind of popping up. Just keep that in mind. Now, it bugged me because I thought originally, this, we tried to figure out, because there was like a C right here, if you guys remember. I thought, this may be, we'll be able to figure out the headlight, the lamp, the shape of it, which could lead us to a make and model of a vehicle. But unfortunately, we were wrong. It was never a headlight, unfortunately. And so got stuck on that. Could not line that up, and it was just so weird because how the tail light was versus this, it could not line it up, and it drove me nuts. And so I thought, because I found some random security screenshot, and I was like, oh, this kind of imitates the angle, how everything's kind of at an angle, right? Because it's, it's where the camera is up on a driveway that's at an angle, and then the street is kind of, different level than the driveway. And so everything is kind of tilted, because that's what we get, when I don't tilt the actual footage. And so I thought, oh, well, the next plausible answer would be something like this, where we're kind of seeing where we can't see the actual headlight because it's kind of, we got kind of a, not quite a side view, but like a, I'm not sure what kind of degree. I'm just going to shout out a degree, like a 45 degree back side angle view. Basically what we're seeing here, not quite a full side view, a mix between a side and a back view. And that's what I thought. And, it kind of fit, but unfortunately, that's not right. Now we get to this, and this is a culmination of why I am pretty sure it's not the silver sedan, although I do definitely believe it's involved, especially where it comes from and goes to. And then of course, the fact that it's seen 3 nights in a row. But do you guys, in chat, do you guys notice this is the same car? Do you guys notice one difference between this car? There's one glaring difference. Same car. But can you guys tell me in chat what's different? Yeah, I think they screwed up so bad, Little Red. They know it. And I think they know they're dreading. I guarantee you they are dreading the day, because instead of doing like what they did with Nancy Guthrie case, although I know there's issues with the sheriff and that, but still, at least, with the FBI kind of being involved, there's still, Kash Patel got that surveillance out there. And again, the public's your best friend. yes, it's got the fog light on. It's got the fog light on. But it's the same vehicle. Thank you, David. Good to see you, David. I'm glad you're coming over to the Sebastian. I appreciate you taking the time. That's awesome. But yeah, it is the so here is the best overlay I did. Again, we're going to focus more on the cars, but again, here's the subject. And again, we'll come to the subject, and I'll tell you who I believe these two subjects are. And there is some strong evidence. I mean, I think we can mostly agree on who subject 2 is. And keep in mind, I know I've mentioned this before, but keep in mind of subject 1 and why it was labeled subject 1. That means that was the first light that was seen. That is very, very important. So important. Subject 1 was there from the beginning, and subject 1 is there at the end. And that is a huge clue as to where we'll go here. Oh, thanks, Dad. I appreciate that. That's awesome. Yeah. 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 I mean, look. Look. I mean, they they solved Jack the Ripper case. They didn't know anything about DNA. You know, they didn't do crime scenes like we do today. You know, they didn't have any of that. And they can solve Jack the Ripper centuries later. And these were no geniuses, right? And there was at least there's at least, in my opinion, at the very least 3 people, likely 4, in my opinion, in my kind of main scenario. I've got the big 3, and we'll go over those. I'm sure you know who the first 2 are, but anyway. And that is subject 2, and that is Katie, in my opinion, KK, as we refer to her. That's just kind of for legal reasons. We just say KK instead of the mother of Sebastian. But KK, in my opinion, is subject 2. Literally comes from the home. Sebastian's home is literally right here. This is the house with the floodlights that is next door to that. And the lights literally come from that direction. And this is an overlay of that thing. So now here is
the alleged.
Our wonderful. Oh, I forgot one video. Oh, maybe I'll pull it up at the end. Oh, let me write that down. Oh, there's one finish to this. Silvers. Okay. Here's lovely Silvers. He went out there. I think this is this year.
Ruckus video because it looked like people were moving.
Now, I think this is where they moved back and forth. The ditches here. For anybody that's not not as familiar with the layout here, I'll just kind of give an overhead. That is where Sebastian lived. And he was taken out. Let's just say this. Subject 2 comes out this way, and this is the house that had the security surveillance. And that is the camera right there. And it was looking something like this, and we can see the lights coming down this way and moving. And I think they moved between these 2 homes. And so where he's sitting at, if you look, this would be a great spot because they have that enforcement or the HOA, so they have that light stuff. So it's, there's not a lot of street lights around there. Very dark. And then notice that this home is blurred out. We'll get back to that. That'll come full circle. But I think that's where they came from. But so now you have the kind of layout, and this is where. So now here is his video, and we'll come back to the
where
car.
That was coming from, but no, look, those lights through those trees. If one was lit now and that tree was moving, it would show on my video.
Thanks, Rachel. Good to see you.
Somebody moving. All right. Common area, flashlight video. That is a big.
How do we know subject 1, 2 didn't switch out?
Big ditch. Sebastian's backyard. You'll.
No, true crime, and that's a great question. True crime campfire. Now I can't give you all the answers because I haven't seen the video in its entirety. With because it's just clips, right? I can only put the pieces together, even though there's puzzle pieces missing. I can only do my best. So again, take it with a grain of salt. But again, I've spent hundreds and hundreds of hours looking at this stuff. That doesn't mean I know all the answers again, but that's a great question. It is, and I'll try to give my best answer to that. Yeah, I know a lot of people. Yeah, Lori, that's what I was saying. Number 4.
See.
I could see. Lori.
No trespassing sign.
The only reason I'm not bringing up, other than the 3 I have, is this just fits into the scenario that I have right here.
Not trespass.
So that is the ditch at a different angle. Now, obviously, from the surveillance, which is coming from a side angle, and then him recording from a different angle. I'm trying to look at my camera here. Yeah, so something like this, So, again, these aren't going to line up, but you'll notice, we kind of talked about this in the ditch video, where you see it do a V with the subject 2. It's very fast. And then right after, and remember the bushes that he talks about. Again, I did this really quick. I could have done a better job if I had more time. But again, as soon as it comes out at the subject 2, right after it does a little bit of a V, it then kind of fades for a minute, and that is right where those trees are at. And that's, yeah. Okay, now for the big stuff. If it's not the silver sedan, what is it? Oh, thank you so much, officer. Let's see. Oh. The reason I zoomed in on this, there's no timestamp on the copy I obtained, but I'm told the video is around 3:30 a.m. That is huge. That is huge. Because remember, I've gone over how stupid clownfish fish sticks was trying to say that all these videos that we're looking at are around 5 a.m. when the garbage truck comes, which we know is horseshit. There's something else I was going to say. But anyway, notice that he says around 3:30 a.m. And I know what I was going to say is I've gone over how even though their timestamp was broken, so even though the timestamp was broken, which is very interesting, right? This was the 26th, not the 23rd, but that's when it froze. But the fact that he I told you guys that, all they had to do was just go and look at, okay, that's when the garbage man comes at 5 a.m. And then even though the timestamp's frozen, they have a timeline like this. So as you guys can see, I have my timeline, right? My scroller that I can go back and forward on. And so you go, oh, well, okay, so here's the trash truck. We know that comes at almost 5:10 a.m., almost on the dot. And then, you go back and you see that it's like 2 hours before, and then, you have an average time. So keep that in mind. That's very important. And, I've broken that down a long time ago. So the fact that they say around 3:30, I think it was a little bit earlier, but I think because it was in between 3 a.m. and 3:30, I think he maybe just went to 3:30. But keep that in mind because that's kind of inside information, right? Okay, now the real car. Oops. And what we're looking for. Oh my gosh, why is it doing this to me? Sorry about that. Again, thank you so much. We got over 500 people in here. God bless you guys. I promise we're going to have some big reveals here in just in a little bit here. But if you haven't already, please hit that like button. And thank you guys so much for being so respectful in the chat. God bless you guys. This is the best community ever. So now, this is where I'm going to share some inside information on why there's more evidence to suggest, again, there's only so many vehicles, right? At that little time frame between 3 and 4. We know that basically 3 a.m. we have a silver sedan, and then at basically 3:30, I think it's like, I forget the exact time, but it's more or less 3:30, the DoorDash driver comes. And that's it. 2 vehicles seen, 3 a.m. and 3:30, right? That's very, very important. Keep that in mind. And then where this vehicle came from. So before we get to the new car, I forgot I added this in. Again, this car, I believe, without a doubt, is a Scout. And we can see now this, we are looking, for anybody who doesn't know where we're looking at, we are, actually, let me go to Google Earth here. This will be easier to do. So we are looking at surveillance from up the street. That's Sebastian, right? This is the road where the silver sedan goes up, does a 3-point turn, comes back down, does that 3 nights in a row, including the night he disappeared at 3 a.m. Then we have a vehicle that turns on this road here, gets captured, and then turns back around. And anyway, there's surveillance that looks, and there's a little opening right here. So we're looking at Long Hollow. There's only one major road when you come out of this neighborhood. Only one. It is Long Hollow Pike, which can go to Shackle Island here, or it can go west. But this is really important. There's 2 big things here. So as we zoom back in, we are looking at this road here. This is very important because that car is going to turn on this. And look at the timing of this. Oh, shoot. This was playing while I was doing that. Okay. So look at the time. It's 2:58. Oops, actually. Okay, 2:58. What do we see? We see a vehicle. We'll get to that menu. That's such a great question. Such a great question. And I promise you, we will get to that. But great question. So, there, 2:58. And we'll just say 2:58 in 10 seconds just to even it out, right? Now, that is just on Long Hollow going west towards our street. Okay, so we saw it at 2:58 in 10 seconds. And here it is Oops. Oh. Should have slowed this one down. 2:58 and we'll say 50 seconds. So we'll say 40-second difference, right? From when we saw it there. So 40-second difference. And I meant to, if I had more time, I would have put this up on the thing. 40-second difference, right? If we average that out to 2:58 and 50 seconds. This is the night he went missing. Now this car literally just drives up to the end of the dead end road, which is, it's a three-way. For anybody who doesn't know, to the right is construction zone. It's a dead end there. Straight ahead, there's like one home on the corner. It's a dead end there. It's kind of like a four-way stop, kind of. And then to the left is a little bit of road that goes to a cul-de-sac, but it's all dead end. This car does the same thing 3 nights in a row. It goes and turns and does a 3-point turn. Okay, now let's look at the time at the last second we see it. Oh. Okay, it's coming back around. Here it comes back. I hope I didn't clip this out. You can see the tail lights. Okay, here it comes. Here it comes. Okay. So there it is. So we'll say, because remember, we kind of did it on the other camera, which is just beyond this. So we'll just bump it up to 2:59 and 40 seconds. Right, just to kind of average it out. 2:59 and 40 seconds. Then we go back to that camera. And look at that. Basically 50 seconds later, so not much of a difference. All right? Yeah, it would be 50 seconds later. Yeah. Close to it. Yeah, 30. Anyway, yeah, 20. Yeah, it's 50 seconds later. At 3 a.m. exactly, in 30 seconds, we see a vehicle going right to left. And that lines exactly up. That is that vehicle, so that means that it would not have time. Assuming, again, I don't know 100% that's a vehicle, but if you line up the time and the difference from when we saw it coming and then leaving, and the one thing I'll tell you, when I watched from 3 a.m. to 4 a.m., I collected all the cars that I could see. Most of them go to our left, which is east. Very little go right, which would be west. Keep that in mind. That was one of the vehicles, obviously, because we saw it at 2:58 and 10 seconds before it turned on to our Kellen Ave. So again, most cars are seen going left, which is west. East, sorry. Dyslexic. This is very important. And guess what's left? Because remember, think about this being a scout, right? This connects to the cemetery. Cemetery, for anybody that's not familiar with the case, we've gone over this. We've done a lot. The cemetery, so this car would be going this way now after we just saw it coming this way. And again, not many cars are seen going between 3 and 4 a.m. Not many are seen going, again, because I'm flipped around here, west. which would be to the right. But now we see it going this way, and about 20 minutes later, 30 minutes later, we're going to see a bunch of activity in the cemetery. But again, we've gone over that. Now, keep in mind, think about this. This is another thing. All right, I'm looking at different comments here. Some of them are kind of different areas. Yeah, Teresa, we'll kind of break those down. Yes, the 100% trial runs. So think of that as a scout, right? And then we add in. So again, for those that don't know, this security camera, and there was a couple of other cameras that had some issues that didn't record that night, and they thought it was odd. There's at least two alleged. I know one for sure, another one 100% for sure. I think there might have been another one on Killen Ave. But I know another home that her thing usually records but did not capture anything that night. But again, look at the time. Now this stopped technically 3 nights before. It was a Friday morning, 3 a.m., 3:11 a.m. And there are tons of signs of trial runs, especially if you followed me with the cemetery stuff, right? So, what are the odds? What are the odds? And we know in true crime, we always, like a lot of detectives say, there's no such thing as coincidences in true crime. What are the odds that this got frozen at 3:11? Right? What are the odds? So now, let's add in the next vehicle and why I don't think it's the silver sedan. And I've already kind of gave an argument of why, it'd be kind of stupid for it to turn onto Stafford and do this kind of weird 3-point turn. Not even a 3-point turn. It just doesn't make sense. But if you had a second vehicle, and I'm going to give you something that I've shared maybe a long time ago, but I just couldn't put the pieces together. But now this one fits so well. It makes so much sense. Okay. And then for those that don't know, so of course Monday morning is kind of when he went missing, Sunday night, really Monday morning between midnight and 6 a.m. is the window. And so that would have been early Monday morning. Tuesday, their timestamp went back to normal. So literally, it freezes 3 nights before he goes missing, and then literally the day after all this happens, it goes back to normal. I mean, is that really a just strange coincidence? And then on top of that, the timestamp. Out of all the times that this could have been frozen, if it was just some malfunction, which does happen, again, to play both sides, again, it can happen with these things. He kind of had an older model. He's gotten a new one since, but come on. So now, remember how I told you guys, and if I had my one page, I could tell you almost maybe I have it. But I wrote down all the timestamps of all the vehicles between 3 and 4, and I noticed that most on Long Hollow Pike were going east. Very few were going west. This is very, very important. So, I believe another car was involved. Oops, sorry. All right, so here's going to be one big reveal here in just a second. So, Man, I wish I could find that specific paper. How's it? Okay. At 3:03, so remember at 3 a.m. and 10 seconds. Wait, was it 10 seconds? No, it was 30 seconds. We saw silver sedan going which way? Left. Our left. We'll forget the east-west for right now. It went left, right? What are the odds? And that would be plenty of time to get to the cemetery and park and let someone know I don't see anybody walking around. It looks clear. Literally 3 minutes later. Almost on the dot. There's a vehicle, and I've looked at some of the vehicles. There's not many that go right. I'd have to look at it. There's a vehicle at 3:03 and 28 seconds. One of the very few between 3 and 4 a.m. going left to right. And it does kind of appear that it has, when we look at it slow motion, and if I had more time, but if you look at it, it almost looks like it's braking, and it's almost, maybe that could be the turn signal. Who knows? Motion blur could distort a lot of different things. But I believe that is the vehicle. I would bet the farm on it. Man, I need to find this. Dang it. Yeah. I know it's here somewhere. Okay, anyway, all right. So, 3:03. And then look at, again, remember, look at that timestamp. 3:03. And this would have taken anywhere from 5, I think at the most 5 to 10 minutes. This whole either moving Sebastian to the vehicle or, if you don't think he made it home, there's kind of two scenarios. I'm starting, I don't know. I'm 50-50. I go back and forth on this, but let's get into the vehicle. And here's what makes sense. And here's another argument that I have not really shared. I think I shared a while ago or maybe mentioned, but now this makes so much sense. There is a home, I'm not going to say which one, that looks at Killen Lane, right? It looks at Killen Lane. They said that they did not see a vehicle other than the DoorDash driver after 3 a.m. That is the only vehicle. That makes so much sense that, and again, one of these homes, and again, it may not be the one that I'm showing here, but here is where that car is going to be caught on the camera. One of these homes was recording and did not capture any vehicle except for the DoorDash driver, which would mean that next vehicle, it totally made sense that they needed to obviously turn around. So if anybody doesn't know, it's not a very wide road. Yeah, you could get two cars, it's still kind of 2-lane, but it's really a narrow road. These are. And it would make sense as to why they had to turn on to Stafford and set off the motion sensor light and the recording. So hopefully you guys, that makes sense to you guys. Oh, thank you. Yeah, I will definitely do a live on that for sure. I've been looking at some different scenarios, but yeah, that would be interesting to touch back on when we get back on that case. Thank you, Candles. So, hopefully that makes sense. The silver car versus this unknown. Now I know I just have a black car. Again, we don't know if it's a black car. I just have a black car there just to show. But that makes so much more sense, right? Versus a silver sedan driving up Kellen, and then why is it going to turn on there and just to turn back and go down? We originally kind of thought that's the way it worked for the longest time. But now when we hear about the fact that, with the footage that we can see that it looks like this car, that silver sedan, comes from possibly the cemetery area, does drives up Kellen, and then does a 3-point turn, comes back down, and then literally 3 minutes to the dot, another vehicle is seen turning down. And so it had probably gotten there at 304, 305, depending on the speed. And now, who are the players, and what kind of car is this? And I promise you, this will be good. But let me know if that kind of makes sense to you guys, or if you have any questions. But again, no other vehicle was seen after 3 a.m. other than the DoorDash driver. Yet we know clearly that there was another vehicle here. Yeah, David, certainly. Well, considering that it got jammed on Friday, we think that they did a trial run before that. And what would be the coincidence that it got stuck at 311? They're doing a kind of a trial run and they jammed it somehow and it got stuck like that at 311. That's why, what are the odds that it got frozen at that time? And this is the time that we believe that this went down. But it would make sense that this car probably wouldn't risk, because again, this vehicle, multiple witnesses, and again, there's some more stuff that, again, eventually I'll be able to share everything. But it is known this vehicle did not have a back license plate. Again, huge. And this goes back to Sheriff Craddock and, the shitstorm. I guarantee you that they are dreading, because they know they absolutely screwed up so bad. And again, if it wasn't corruption, then, it's just, you're in the wrong line of work, or there's some kind of, some politics, internal connections, which would not surprise me. So, we have this other car. And now we'll get into the subjects, and we're going to get to the description. And I told you guys, I have spent over a year working on these documents that, I kind of wanted to send in. We were kind of hoping, with everything going on with the cemetery, that kind of put it on pause. So, we really wanted to have everything ready for the anniversary, but, things happen. It's called life. But I'm going to show you guys some of that stuff and it's almost complete. I would not surprise me at the least. Connections. I don't think he ever mentioned the car, CC. If anybody knows, I would love to see that. If there was like a quote by him, I don't think he ever mentioned the car at all. At all. Nor did the family, even though there's that video. That's why I'm saying, like, when Nick Barris released the 3 a.m. lights, the flashlights, and he cropped it where you couldn't see the vehicle, which in a way and I get it at the time as a journalist, trying to look at it at both angles. Maybe he was trying to protect the integrity of the case, because I guess it's still technically early on, even though it's like 3 weeks out or whatever. But if it would have been the reverse and he showed that vehicle, man, because that vehicle, it's one thing with those lights. I think, flashlight tag, all these different rumors. The vehicle, because, garbage truck, right? The lights are not even, we're not even looking in the those cameras not even looking at that area, right? But that car, you cannot deny, because it, reflects onto a vehicle in the parking, in that, in his parking lot. So yeah, if it would have been the opposite, oh my gosh, I could only imagine. I think they would have been pinned down much quicker on both sides, Stink Feet and law enforcement. But fortunately, it didn't happen that way. And again, it's no question. It's no surprise that KK and Crispy have never addressed the vehicle at all. Oh, except for the fact that, remember, Crispy said, "Oh, there's no car." I'm 300% sure. 300%. 300. 300. 3 a.m. I swear to God, that was a little jab. Kiki, great question. I'm going to do some research on that. That is a video that I still need to get some footage from that day. That footage, of course, because it's daytime, people are waking up, people are moving around. I don't want to show anybody, because obviously I've worked so hard to build up, sources and keep, my integrity and trust with them. So, but I would love to show that, because nobody's seen, that with those two different angles while that's going on in the morning. It would be interesting to see and compare what's going on. But yeah, that'd be a lot of work. But yes, I do want to do that. All right. So now, using AI to solve. I may need to use the restroom here in just a second, but I promise you, 2 big reveals. Well, I've kind of already revealed that the argument versus the second vehicle. Again, it looks like that silver sedan was just a Scout, and we know that we see this vehicle that appears to be coming at 303, and we know there's a vehicle, because there it is, sometime after 3 a.m., yet there's no other vehicle that comes until 3:30, which means that there was another vehicle that came shortly after. So that's one, and then we're gonna get into the vehicle, the possible descriptions, and some of the areas where we got some stuff right. I've already kind of showed you what we kind of thought was what, and I promise you, this part is going to be big. May need to quickly use the restroom. We are at 46. Let me just play this. I know, actually, I'm not going to even let you have to listen to Craddock. Give me just 1 minute so I can use the restroom. I'm so sorry, guys. But I promise you, it'll be worth the wait. I'll show you what AI has done, and I promise you, it's hundreds and hundreds of hours of work. And again, you guys are getting the first time look at what I have been doing for over a year. And again, this is collective work, right? There's many people helping behind the scenes, so I can't take all credit, right? But I promise you it'll be very worth it. So let me quickly just use the restroom real quick. So I'll just play this little interview one more time, and then we'll get right back to it.
And we want to let everybody know he has not been forgotten. Nobody's forgotten about him. Nobody has given up looking for him. At the beginning of this investigation, there was a large land search for him. It was very visible. There were also waterways, lakes, ponds that were searched. There were aerial searches with helicopters and drones and fixed-wing planes. They were done at night. They were done on weekends. They were done during the day. That was very visible, and it was something everybody was able to see. But we want to let you know that even though there is not that high visibility in investigating this case, that we are not done. It's gone back to what could be considered good old-fashioned police work. Interviewing individuals, re-interviewing individuals, checking out leads, rechecking leads. We have been working with other law enforcement agencies who have had, in other jurisdictions, who have perhaps had some complex cases of their own that they have worked on to get tips from them. We have had, this day of technology with everyone having cell phones and doorbells and ring bells and surveillance cameras. That, as you can imagine, has been a bit of a chore to be able to collect all those and then review them. It's important so we know what's out there. We have been reviewing that, reviewing it again. We have had other agencies involved, the FBI.
Okay, here we go, guys. So the last part, the finale of this live here. Find out where we're at here. So again, one last time. Again, one of these homes, again, I'm not going to say which one, nothing after 3 a.m. And you add in the Nick Barris saying, it was around 3:30, but again, that's just approximate. They can happen more between 3:10 and 3:20, considering that we have a DoorDash driver that comes at 3:30, and according to what we know, he may have seen something, we just don't know. But as far as I know, word on the street is I don't think he saw anything, but I'm not too privy on the DoorDash driver. Okay. So one last time. Remember I told you the closer we look, the less information. Or we kind of get deceived. But the further back we look is more likely what is the answer. So if you guys remember last year, one of the things that bugged the ever-living hell out of me, along with not being able to see, why couldn't we see the headlight lamp, right? Why we know that's the tail light, but why couldn't we see the tail light? Or I mean the headlight. We see the beam, but we can't see the headlight. And that really bothered me. And then also why this, just the shape of it. And so we come full circle here. Yeah, there'll be a bunch. Oh, awesome. That's great. I've been kind of behind. I wish I could watch other channels. And again, I think I've mentioned this before. I really don't watch other channels. Like after doing YouTube for so long, like I need to like desensitize myself, right? Because again, covering terrible stuff, and of course trying to do, we're trying to help and try to spread awareness. But it's like, it definitely takes a mental toll. And, with this case, it's just gotten so ugly, not to get sidetracked, but just quick little soapbox thing here. Like, we're all after, we want to get justice for Sebastian. And I hate to see how all these, I don't know if you want to call them cliques or whatever, little groups, kind of spread out. And I hate that. Even on the Sebastian side, the Sebastian army, it's like a division because, I don't have the answer. But, there just is. And I hate it. It's just one of those cases, unlike Nancy Guthrie, where it's just like, kind of like everybody's on the same team, really. And I wish it was like that for this. I know there's a lot of people that are, but it just, I don't know. It is what it is. It's truly terrible. And again, I really try to just stay in my lane. I try not to talk about other channels other than, maybe like a Crewminati, which again, but anyway, I digress. Okay, let's get to the finale of this here. Actually, 2 finales here. About 30 to 40 minutes to go. I'll stop here and read chat here in just a second. So again, for anybody that doesn't know, we're looking this way, right? Now we don't have a proper overlay of the original surveillance from a daytime view, which would have been great to overlap a nighttime view, sadly. But there was something on the concrete that we noticed. And again, this will all come full circle. And I know I've kind of shared this before. For anybody that hasn't seen this, this helped out so much. So much. So this guy, let's go back to an older date here. I want you to look at the crown of the road and notice you can see it. I'm not sure how wide that is. Oh man, it's kind of, I'm not good with guessing it. Maybe 2 feet wide, maybe a foot and a half to 2 feet wide, the crown of the road. You can even see the lines of it. That's very important. But this guy had multiple boats. I think he's gone, at least since Sebastian, I think he's maybe had 2 boats. But that's very important. But you can tell when we go back to July of 2023, you can see where he had scuffed this puppy up real good. Here's a different boat. You can tell that he clearly had high centered and caught the crown and scuffed up the road quite a bit. But most importantly, he scuffed up the crown of the road. That's really important. Because that gives us an idea of where this vehicle where the beam of light is coming from. I know we've gone over this before, but again, this is all come full circle, and I will give you the reveal of subject 1 and 2, and I think I have a pretty good argument. Oh, thank you, Geneva. That's a great question, David, and it's coming up. Great question. Such a great question. Actually, you know what? While I got it here, let me just quickly get caught up. So, we're on top. Juju, I might have gotten this, but you donated earlier. Thank you so much. 6 months of support. God bless you, Juju. Blue Third. I think I got that one, but thank you again. Always supporting me. God bless you, sweetheart. And gifting a Mob Crew membership. That is so awesome. If it's not tonight, hopefully tomorrow I'll have the video for the cemetery out. I put it on Patreon. It's free there, but I am going to be putting some stuff just for Patreons, for the paid members. Dennis says, thanks for all the hard work. Thank you so much. I appreciate you guys trying to reach that goal to help me out. It really means the world to me. Jules Seth, thank you. Mob Crew. Oh, thank you so much. Yeah, I'm always, thinking of Seth, and praying he gets answers soon, and justice. Let's get snarky Chris. I don't know if that's a repeat, but yeah, we'll get a little snarky at the end. Sparky, and thank you, Ceci. Sparky Dude, thank you for the $1.99. And 2 Dozen Roses, that's a great name. You rock, Chris, and put a lot of great eye work. Thank you so much. we all have our, we all have our flaws. We all have our strengths, and as long as you guys can hear me, which is good. Okay. So, great question that David brought up. And here we go. So we're going to get into the reveal of the most likely make of the model, and then we'll tap into subject 1 and 2, and who I'll give you the best argument as to who subject 1 is. So I started noticing those scuffs right on the crown. As you can see the line, and again, it's maybe a foot to 2 feet wide. Again, it's kind of tough to tell. But clearly he scuffed that up. They did patch it up sometime, I think, after he went missing. I noticed it looks better when you look at a recent one. But if you notice, there's some voids. And notice the other thing. So this is the beam. We know that's the beam, right? And it's going to zoom in here. We know that's the beam. But notice how it's like a straight line, right? Just a perfect straight line. Well, that kind of gives us an idea of where the vehicle's at, right? So it means it's kind of to the right of the crown, but close to it. And again, I know I've already shown this before, but again, this is all putting this all together. And look at, so I flipped that, and you can even see the line in the crown. And again, I'm not sure if it's this scuff and this scuff that we're seeing right here, or maybe it's this scuff here. It's, it's tough to say, but I'm sure it's one of these. But notice that line. You can even see the crown line right here. And as I move this over, it's not going to be a complete exact 1-to-1. And again, it's probably not the perfect angle, because I think this picture is a little bit more at an angle. But you get the idea. And I thought this would go a little faster. But as you can see, that lines right up with where the scuff would be. So now, we know the car, and again, I've told you guys this before, and I'm just going to go out because Crabtree apparently, I don't know, this is like a month ago, apparently went on Facebook and made I don't know. I read the first page. I have no idea, but he allegedly ranted off on me. Again, I have no idea. It was a weird rant. I read one page, and it just seemed all over the place. Anyway, so I'm just going to say it right now. Crabtree, remember how I told you guys there was two sides of the coin when they spoke with the homeowner twice? Because remember, Crabtree, I was in contact with him before SF came along, and then, unfortunately, in my opinion, I don't know, maybe he drank the Kool-Aid, whatever. And anyway, but long story short, they spoke with the homeowner, and it wasn't just Crabtree. It was another person, a local person, a very close person. So again, two sources. And that's why I say both sides of the coin. And they were told the same thing. They said, yeah, the car was parked right across from this tree. He kind of said across his mailbox, but it's really, but he did say past this tree around here. Again, and guess where the, where it's torn up? It's right here. He also said, it looked like the person had jumped the ditch as they were coming back. Again, this was a year and a half ago. And again, I have some of those messages. I never record the phone calls because, again, I'm not that kind of person. But again, if you guys remember, he was trying to do measurements for me because we were trying to look at different ways. So anyway, now what are we looking at? We know this is the crown of the road, right? This is the tail light. But why can't we see a headlight? We can't see the vehicle. So, and the vehicle, it could even be silver. It's just bad lighting. Again, the only light source we have is from the light that's up over here. So keep that in mind. So there's not much of a light source. So this is part of the report that will eventually go to law enforcement and, most importantly, FBI. Now, what's very awesome about AI, one of the big things that is great about AI is it can read color temperature. And so it can give you an idea if it's like an LED light, or it can kind of tell you how the temperature of it, which is amazing. Again, I guess I'd have to kind of research more so I could know exactly what I'm talking about. But they've been using that for a long time. Color temperature. And this is the report I did. And it said, the color temperature of the tail light was somewhere between 18 to 22 Kelvin. And the biggest thing, and this is very huge because then this narrows down a big bulk of cars, is that the tail light, it could tell versus a halogen light, which are more commonly used in older model vehicles. So post 2000, I'm not sure when they started using LED lights, mid 2000, mid 2000 teens or look, I'm not sure. But sometime after the 2000s. But this particular car, I believe, has LED. Well, because we don't have the headlights of it, so we only have the tail lights. But anyway, that is huge. So we now know that it's somewhere likely 2014 and beyond. We know it's a sedan. Obviously, sedan was mentioned a long time ago, so no surprise there. And I gave it a video where, because you know how it turns on, it's a short video. And I gave it every frame and the video where it's turning on its brake light, and so it can read the temperature as it's kind of kicking on, which is, again, it's amazing, above my pay grade, but it can tell. And you guys can do this yourself, independently if anybody wants to try it. And here it gives you, because I think the main colors, when you're looking at is red, green, and I forget the other main color. I know red and green are the big ones. But it gave an example. Yes, this appears to be some kind of mid-sized sedan. We can tell the size of the vehicle just by the distance between the starting of the beam and where the tail light starts. And that is somewhere about 16 feet, which is common size for a mid-sized sedan. And then we can also tell the height of the tail light, which then narrows down, is it an SUV? Because SUVs can be that, obviously can be down to that size. But typically SUVs usually have, not all, but typically will have, tail lights up, higher up. So this was the big question. You ever wonder why we can't see the entire, we can see part of this truck, but why can't we see the front of it? Like, we've got the angle of it. There's nothing right here. But here, this is all very important. So this truck that is sitting in the driveway, and we'll get the one that we used to look at. This one. Yeah. Except there was a truck, obviously, right here. And then we had the other truck here. And then another truck here. Big family. But notice the back. And I know we pointed this out, but again, this will come full circle. This will tell us exactly what the light source is. But notice there's nothing there, and then boom, it lights up at the exact same time. So we know right there, and this is where, again, if they would have released this, it would have been without a doubt. There's no argument. You couldn't say, oh, this is some garbage truck over in the neighborhood, in the next neighborhood across. There's no way something can interact with something that's in a driveway that's in another neighborhood, right? So this, this is where it's kind of like a double-edged sword. If he wouldn't have, if you would have mentioned the vehicle and not the 3 AM flashlights, it would have been a whole different story, because they would have had a very hard time arguing where this vehicle is at. There's just no question that this is sitting right in front of the driveway, because this car was doing a 3-point turn. Oh, thank you, Christy. Oh, interesting. Oh, yeah, tree. Yeah, that doesn't surprise me. That doesn't surprise me at all. Okay, so if you guys remember, I showed this example because, this is a perfect example of well, look at this. Look how this turns on. It's the same thing, right? Now, here's where, we originally thought it was a headlight, but I thought the car was then a little bit at an angle, where I talked about earlier before. And we just couldn't see the headlight. Well, that's not the case. And what it is a fog light. It's a fog light, and we've kind of gone over this. I think I've revealed this before. It's a fog light. And that's why we can see the dip, is because the light is so low to the ground that it actually, this is one of the reasons why we can also tell it's a sedan type vehicle, is it's low to the ground, and the light source, which is the fog light, with it being so low to the ground, it would skim over that void, which is that divot in the crown of the road. That is very important. But then I did some research and discovered that. So again, remember, I thought this car was at an angle and maybe kicked on its headlights, but for some reason, sitting like this, and then we just kind of had like the tail light looking weird. But this, unfortunately, trying to think outside the box, but it's not quite right. This is a side view of the vehicle, without a doubt. Not a backside view. It is just pretty much straight on side view of the vehicle. But no headlights. Keep that in mind. Why no headlights? In a very dark area, even though you got your fog lights on, why did you have your tail lights off? Or excuse me, why did you have your headlights off? That was done on purpose. That clearly shows what was going on was nefarious. So now the AI, and this is where I fed it so much information. And it's the next one, but this is so crazy. So, it's narrowed down to mainly, I've got 5 vehicles, but we really got it down to like 2, and I'm working on trying to get it down to 1. And I'll show you some of that. And again, it's in my report as well. Again, this is all AI recreation, but some of this stuff is very fascinating. Notice the 40 to 60 feet from the camera. In this particular, again, this is all through ChatGPT. I can never say that. ChatGPT. It's my dyslexic. When using this AI, And I did, thanks to somebody in chat, they sent me some money to get the subscription, because again, if you use it for free, you can only use it so much, and then you can only use it very sparingly. But anyway, I have been feeding it. This is the whole. This is me scrolling through it, and I don't think I ever gave it distance from anything, if I recall. In this particular one, yeah, I don't think I ever gave distance. But anyway, unlike when I was doing it with Grok. But anyway, 40 to 60 feet from the camera. It had its headlights off. It did have, look at this one here. This is a great example. And this would make sense as to why we can't see the fog light itself, like the light source, right? Because it's in the vehicle, right under the bumper there. Which I'll show a side view of one, so you get. So that was always one of the frustrations. Why couldn't we see the light, the headlight or the fog light? But a fog light, obviously, especially, and this also is more argument that this is a particular kind of sedan. It did not have its headlights on. It did have, likely, from what I understand, it probably because the person turned off the vehicle. I'm about 99% sure, and I'll explain. I've kind of gone over the scenario about how the motion light, but that will come into part 2. This will be the other finale about who was subject 1. And I promise you, this will be the best argument I've had. But before I finish that, get to that. Hopefully that makes sense. So what they have is you have your headlights and you have what you call your parking lights for some of these vehicles in this generation. And they're kind of like the amber, but they're not very bright. And as the person kicked back on the car, they literally deliberately had the headlights off. I don't know if they meant to have the fog lights on. It's unclear. But they had the headlights off because when they drove, when they went to make the 3-point turn, obviously we couldn't see the vehicle at all, but we know the motion light went off. And so here we can see how long the beam is at, which is really cool. Hopefully you guys can see that okay. Sorry, let me pull that down. But as you can see, this is about the angle. Actually, this is probably about the perfect angle. If the car was a little bit more over, it gave me a bunch of different kind of angles. And but it could tell that the fog beam is somewhere between 20 and 25 feet. I think we could narrow that down a little bit. And then the fact that it was 40 to 60 feet. But this is really, and I think I zoom in here in just a second. But again, this has a lot of data pumped into it. Tons of stuff. A lot of it just images from the video and just feeding it information. And then just kind of having it give me some kind of recreations. It could tell me approximately how long the fog beam was. And then it could give me an explanation as why we see part of the crown. I think that was in the other diagram here with the gouge. Oh, and then this one's very interesting, is why we couldn't see the rest of the beam, and that one's a really interesting one. Sorry guys, I know there's a lot. I'll stop and I'll try to read chat here. But okay, 40 to 60 feet. I'm pretty sure I never gave it any dimensions as far as anything, at least in this chain, as far as distances go. And this is what's wild. Is we take a measurement from the security camera, and we go, and we know it's about, the beam would have started here. We can actually see the gouges kind of right here where that second tree is. So that car is about right here. So we put it there, and as you can see, that is, oh, you can't see the whole thing. That is 55 feet from the camera to that. And look at the answer it gave me. 40 to 60 feet. And that's kind of using the temperature of the vehicle, and some math. But again, I don't think I gave it any approximate distances from anything. I could be wrong, maybe in the beginning, but I never guessed, how far I thought it was. This is all AI. And again, if anybody wants to try to replicate it, I would not be surprised if you come up with the same thing. So, again, and I know this isn't surprising, but it just reinforces, how far the car was away, where it was at, the fact that it did not have its headlights on, but it did have its parking lights on, and then it had its fog lights on. And then it can tell. So remember, we have this crown, and it can kind of tell the height of the tail light, which is amazing. There's so many things that it can do with using this data as it turns on, that it can figure out within, obviously not down to, probably inches, right? Or close to inches, I guess. But you get the idea, right? That it knows that this tail light is not very high from the vehicle, which means it really kind of cancels out a lot of SUVs. I know a lot of people were thinking, the Mama Socks SUV. But again, I'm trying to give you guys, the best possible explanation with math using, actual data and all that to combine this. And there's more. There's more about what this person did with their vehicle that actually using that will actually help narrow down the make and model, even though we've got the top 5 already. And it's not going to surprise you. Not too much anyway, I don't think. But this is huge. And again, all of this should have been out after the first week. And we should have had, I understand maybe you didn't want to show the flashlights. They should have showed this car and said, hey, this car was at this time, because they could have told us. They know the time, right? They know the time exactly. We have a, approximate time. But I'm sure they know, for the most part, down to within a few minutes. And imagine if they said, look, here's this car. We know it's this kind of sedan. This is kind of the details we've got so far, the make and model. And imagine all, I know someone just said like something about a nerd or something, and I'm proud of that. Nerd stuff. However you want to put it, I love it. But imagine what the community could have done, right? Other people like me, like you guys, that are just so passionate about Sebastian's case, and they wasted that, and I guarantee that's going to come back on them. Okay, one more thing, and then, well, actually, part of this is to lead into who subject 1 is, and I'll give you the best argument, and yeah. Let me read chat for just a second, because this is the final part here. But I promise you, this will be worth it. Oh, thank you, Sassy. 3 minutes. Yeah, we pretty much hit the goal. I appreciate that. Thank you guys so much. Sparky Do, $2.99. God bless, Geneva. Stay strong. Thank you, Geneva. Major support. God bless you. Blue Third, less than 2 minutes. Thank you so much for the $5 super chat. Come on, people. 10 more doll hairs. Oh, thank you, Sassy. God bless you, Kiki. Thanks for your hard work. Thank you, Kiki. To everybody, all the content creators that, I know they do a lot of hard work. Everybody has their gifts, right? Show Poodles, I'm sorry, came up. Thank you so much for the $10 super chat. God bless you. Snark Chris, thank you so much, Pocahontas. I'll get a little snarky at the end. I'm going to get snarky for credit because they botched this so bad. And it's going to come back on them so bad. I hope it comes sooner than later because I think there'll be, in my opinion, there'll be resignations, eternal investigations. I would be dumbfounded if there was not some kind of internal investigation that happens once whatever pops. Lori, thank you very much for all you're doing for Sebastian. Thank you so much. Wanda, enjoying the nerd stuff, and I appreciate that. Great comment. All right, guys. Oh, thank you, Kitty. Good to see you. I hope you're doing well. Okay, here we go. Okay, so these are the clips in order, and this is really, really important to go over these. Now with what the information, okay, assuming this is the 3:03 a.m. vehicle that comes in after the silver sedan, which makes a lot of sense, along with some more data, some inside information that no other vehicle was seen after 3 a.m. until the DoorDash. But something happened in between that window. And it would make so much more sense as to a vehicle that's coming in that needs to come back out to do a 3-point turn. And I think they didn't want to turn onto a driveway because remember, they don't have their, actually, let me go to Google Maps, but, some say, well, why not just turn onto a driveway? Well, think about it. You may turn onto a driveway. You don't know which one has a camera, and you don't know which one has a motion light. And if you're doing a 3-point turn, even though you don't have a back license plate, you may be caught on better lighting, right? This vehicle is clearly trying to, drive with no lights, go up this short little road here. I know it's longer, but I'm just saying because I went to here. And again, I think they screwed up. It's clear as day they screwed up when they turned on to do a 3-point turn. So here we go. These are the clips in order. And also, notice, here's another thing. Notice the truck, right? We can't see the whole truck. Even though we're looking at it, there's nothing. We got the Camaro, not Camaro, I'm sorry. The Challenger, right? The Dodge. But it's because of the shadow, so we only have the one light source, right? And it's over here. That is very important, right? Where that light source is coming from. So it's coming from over here, right? So it's going in this direction, and obviously this truck is blocking part. It's causing a shadow on this truck. Now that is very important for why the vehicle, this is just one last thing, sorry. This is important as to why, because we have the white truck here. We know this car isn't too far away from this because this is on the edge of the driveway. And so this vehicle, I'd have to get this is some more data that I need to do to kind of finish up my final touches. But, the truck is sitting, and there's a picture, when they came like the next day, and I think the truck was still in the same position. But it was pretty much right here. So, if we did the distance, but if you think about it, it's going to cast a shadow. We just can't see it. It's casting a shadow because remember, there's only one light source. So a light source is going to cut through. And even though there's a secondary light source, the fog light, whatever it's lighting up over here is going to be blocked by this truck. And so if anybody's wondering why it got cut off, is I'm sure other parts of this road were lit up by the fog light. We just can't see it because I'm sure this white truck shadow was causing that. Okay. All right. Now, last part here. Yeah. Yep, Jenny. Yep, exactly. Okay. Challenger, thank you, Sparky. I'm dyslexic, and if I get anything twos that are close, especially Charger, Challenger, I'll my stuff's gonna go rampant. Okay, so I know I've gone over this before, but this is very important because this, to me, is going to reveal who Subject 1 is, in my opinion. With everything now that we know, right? If going off this scenario, again, that nobody was let off before, this is big because before, if we went with the silver sedan where they had already let somebody out, that would kind of make sense of who Subject 1 was, and then Subject 2 would have been KK. But now, if this other scenario, which I'm pretty sure is right, I don't know for 100%, but I think I've provided a pretty good argument, and I promise you, if you've been paying attention, this will be big. Because it's going to reveal who, in my opinion, is Subject 1. So remember, car comes and does a 3-point turn, but it has its lights completely off. So it turns. Now it comes fast. Now technically, this is important. This is the big thing. Even though this is clip 1 from the leaked stuff, the Nick Barris video is the first part. When they're running, and this I should have put this in, which I'm actually kind of bummed. It is in here, but anyway. So the Nick Barris, where they're running across that first part, that happens first. Remember, he shows that, and then remember, if you've been paying attention, he said that a little bit later on, I forget the quote. A meanwhile later, Subject 1 is seen running back. So, and the reason I know that the Nick Barris thing happened first is because so Subject 1 is now out of view. It's either behind this home that's right here, but you're going to see Subject 2 running along. But this is where kind of clip 1 kind of, I don't know if I might have screwed up already on this one. I didn't extend it out. Clip 1 starts out, shoot. I need to show this. I can't believe this is the one thing I messed up. This is like the biggest piece. Bear with me 1 second. Oh my gosh, how did I screw this up? Oh, I know where to find it. I know where to find it. Okay. Here it is. Here it is. Okay. Because it goes really fast in this, but I promise you this is okay. So we're at 1 hour 42 seconds. Okay. Okay. So it happens so fast, but this is the first clip leaked. Again, Nick Barris starts already, just as I explained. Oops, let me make this shorter. But I promise you, you're going to have a oh shit moment. I promise you. Going off everything that I've just explained to you this whole entire time. And I apologize. This one's been really big, and oh my gosh. And this blew my mind. So, one more time. Nick Barris, they've already started running. Subject 1 is out of view. Okay, as this clip starts, it goes fast. Notice the lighting. We can barely see the Challenger and the truck and stuff. Watch as the clip starts. what just happened. And I'm sure most of you guys know what just happened right there. The motion light was activated. Motion light just got kicked on. Okay? Motion light got kicked on. That means that car, that dark sedan with no lights, has now just turned on to the street and has activated the motion light. Now, keep in mind that the Nick Bears video has already happened, because in this clip, and this is where I'll show you, the motion lights are activated. That's subject 2. That is after they come out of the ditch. That is so important. One more time. Something turns on, but we don't see it. And that is subject 2. Now, you'll see where I'm getting at. Yes, Joel, yes. The car had its lights off. So, thanks to Silvers for doing this. And this was before, we've really kind of worked together. But, he was taking a drive, and I found this video. And I'm like, oh, my gosh. This is amazing, because now, again, the car would be coming the other way. But the same thing would happen. Notice, just as he turns, boom. Now, they have moved the light since. Before, it was over here. The camera is still in the same spot, and that makes sense. You would want your lighting near your camera in the direction it's at, so that makes sense that they've gotten better lighting since he went missing. And I highly doubt that would extend out over here. I'd have to look at the range of the motion sensor. But again, these guys were way out here. I highly doubt they would be setting that off. And plus, we'd already seen 2 people run across, and that didn't go off. So, again. So that is the car turning on. Right? And there's subject 2, which originally I thought was subject 1. I kind of, again, took a long time. This is like, again, hundreds and hundreds of hours putting together. Now, this is clip 2. And there is subject 2, I believe, stopped. And remember, this is paused. The second the vehicle kicks on. Oh, and this is the other thing. This tells you that, so the next clip that's leaked out, notice the motion lights are now off. And if they're not, you could tweak the times, I think, anywhere from 2 minutes to, I don't know, 10 minutes, something like that. But I think like the average is 2 to 3 minutes. So that means that vehicle sat there. So they ran across, and then that vehicle sat there for at least 2 minutes, up to maybe 3 to 5 minutes, and waited for the motion light to turn off. I've gone over this before, but I promise you I'm going to get to who subject 1 is. Car turns on. They pause the video, so everything is paused. They're just trying to zoom in to see the vehicle. And here's clip 1 to clip 2, showing how you can see that when the lights are on, you can see the vehicle better. Now, the last clip that's leaked after the vehicle kicks on. So now the vehicle is backed up. And then the last thing, so we know that clearly after it turned on its lights, it would have backed up and obviously reset the motion light, right? 3M car is now gone. and we would see the subject running across, right? But then there would be something, even though we see subject 2 running back, it's kind of hard to see. Actually, you might be able to see it in this. I zoom it in on the other one, but you see subject 1 again, still standing there. Now I'm going to put this full circle. I promise you this will be worth the wait. And I'll give you a little bit of argument to my theory, but I think it holds some weight. Okay, 1 hour. Let's see, what time did we start? Oh, wow. Okay. Sorry, guys. I am kind of going through this a little bit faster. Wow, it's been 2.5 hours? Shit. Okay, here we go. So we went over all this, right? And hopefully that makes sense. Again, we only have little pieces of the puzzle, so we're missing stuff in between, but we can kind of get an idea of when the car's there and then what's causing, why the motion light is on, what causes the motion light. And then, because again, if you think about it, when we see clip 2, and this just tells you that the car, when this first got set off, when the car turned on, this is also another just indicator that the car was off, because when we go to clip 2, notice the car's there. We just don't see it yet. So that's also more obviously argument that this car turned onto that street with no lights. Again, this would be something why I guarantee you when this, and we'll get snarky Chris at the end here, because it's like you guys they're gonna get buried, and they know it. They know they're gonna get so buried, and I hope some people get fired. I hate to say that, but or at least demoted. I don't know, maybe fired. Well, I don't know. Unless there's internal politics going on, then yeah, fire the hell out of them. I don't know. But anyway, but we know the car's there because just in a second, it's going to kick on its lights. So we know it's there, right? So again, shows a clear nefarious activity that they literally drove up to do a 3-point turn with their headlights off. Then I believe they shut the car down. And this is where, if I had more time, as there's still a few little things that I'm trying to glue everything together, right? To kind of, and then it helps kind of figure out what kind of vehicle, because certain vehicles, when you have certain knobs switched off, and again, I am no car expert, far from it. I'm learning more about cars than I've ever have in my entire life, but I'm still very naive to vehicles. But I'm learning some, especially Honda Accords and Hyundai Elantras. But it just shows that, again, they drove onto that road with no lights on in an area. Imagine if a car was coming around that corner, right? Imagine the wreck. Like, imagine how dangerous that is. This is a very dark area. And, of course, the motion light was off. But, God, if that motion light didn't go off, and even then it's still dark, car could have came around. And if it doesn't have its headlights, and I'm sure, people, probably maybe hug the side, but probably, at night, because it isn't a very wide road. I mean, it could have been a collision, when I don't think they'd be very fast, but still, that's so dangerous. But again, it just shows nefarious activity. Why would you be doing that? But the last piece of this puzzle is the beginning and the end. So as we know, after the car has left, so the car is not there anymore. We can't see it, right? This is the last clip that was leaked out. Notice the motion lights. That tells us that the car has moved. And I think most likely, because think about this, subject 2 is running back home, which means whatever they've done, this is the big part. Whatever they've done, it is now complete, right? I think we could agree that pretty much the main, whatever they're doing, if they move Sebastian, they're done. They moved him into the vehicle, right? Hopefully alive, maybe knocked out with something, and it's nothing more nefarious. But whatever has transpired in this little 5 to 10 minute time frame has now transpired, because, and I promise you, this is going to be for me. I hope it was for me. I mean, it wasn't a big surprise, but the pieces were there. I just can't believe I didn't put them all together. So we know that is most likely KK running back, right? And I know it's really hard to see when she's running back, allegedly. Yeah, it's really, really hard. You can see it right there. It's really hard because the third video that they uploaded, the quality was unfortunately not the best. But there's something in this video that is huge, and I pointed this out before, but now you put the beginning and the end, and now what we know about most likely a second car that comes just after, the silver sedan. That's also some kind of sedan, coincidentally. But it's really quick. But we see subject 1 appear again one more time. They light up. It's clear as day, and they're even in the same position they were earlier in one of these videos. I've gone over that in a previous live, a couple of lives. You see it's right there. It's so fast. I do slow it down here in a bit. Okay. So if we think about it, you think about it. Let me do one more thing. I promise. Come full circle here. Yeah, let me put this one here. Yeah, I wish I had that overlay. That would really help. Okay, 103. Here we go. Hope this is the right one. Okay, so this happened. Actually, you know what? I don't know why I did that. Let me do this. I'm sorry. This is better. This will get better context. Okay. Yes. Yes, right here. Okay. So remember, this video happens just before clip 1, where the vehicle that we can't see is caught setting off the motion sensor. And then we see one of the subjects running across. But it's actually, and originally I thought it was subject 1, but it's actually after subject 1 has disappeared, and it's this part right here. And notice the vehicle. Remember, I showed you guys, I overlaid this, and you can see that even in this video here, the truck, notice we can't see the hood of the truck right here. And then here in just a second, and that's when the car is turning. So notice, keep an eye on this truck here. We can't really see it. And then right, I wish I had a better overlay, but it gets lit up. This is not the best, but hopefully you guys understand what I'm saying. Where the order of everything, right? So the vehicle. So now with putting all that together, we know subject 2 is KK, or believe so, allegedly. Subject 1, in this scenario, if that car has not made it, right? So hopefully you guys are getting ready for this. If that car has not made it to the 3-point turn, right? And we already have, and this would almost also suggest that the 3 a.m. vehicle was connected. So they start going, and it's about here when the car turns. Well, unless they let somebody out of the car, so here's the big bombshell. Unless they let somebody out of the car and they run up, and cut over and now have a flashlight and then go and get them and then kind of run out. Again, that is a lot because they'd have to come from that car, right? And that car was never seen past, a certain area. I'm not going to say which home after 3 a.m. So unless they let somebody out and then they go running up and somehow not get seen on the cameras, not set off, because there is cameras. So hopefully you guys are getting this, because subject 1 is already like ahead of subject 2. That is why subject 1 is labeled subject 1. If you're ever wondering why subject 1 on the right is labeled 1 and 2 is on the left, it's because 1 was seen first. 1, in my opinion, was sitting here, and 1 has always been ahead of 2 across the ditch. So if 1 has always been sitting there, that means that they were there before this vehicle came. And then on top of that, so that's one argument, right? So when this whole thing went down, our video, subject 1 is already there. They are now just waiting for subject 2 to come out, which is KK. But the vehicle is only going to be coming after subject 2, which means, again, this vehicle has not really come in this scenario. Then you add in that, get to it here. Oh, I had it at the end. That's funny. Then you added in that at the very end, after all this, now again, remember, everything is finishing up. KK is now running back to her, allegedly to her home. And we can see her, and I apologize, this is not the best quality. Let me move this over. There's a big reveal. I'm sure some of you guys have already kind of put it together. So again, this is it. The car is gone, as far as we know, unless it's sitting down the road, which I don't think it would risk it. And we have, just for a brief second before this leak clip ends, and it's fast, and I play it one more time here. I slowed it down because it's so fast. I've showed this before. This car is now gone. Again, the unknown car. And I apologize. If I had time, I would have brightened this up, fixed this up. Just after KK has run back to the home. And again, this is not the best one. It lights up much brighter than this. This is just a recording of a recording. I just didn't have time to get the original, which still is bad quality. But it lights up, and it is in, and I've overlaid it where it stands in the same position at one point earlier in the video. And we know, and I've done the AI on it. Yes, that is an LED flashlight. It's not a home light or anything. They have a different, because AI can tell color temperature. That light appears after KK is gone, and most likely when the vehicle is gone. So who is it? If they're there before the vehicle came, and if they're still there at the end, making sure KK gets Sebastian to the vehicle or whatever, or if they're trading something out, the person, in my opinion, is there before, and that person's subject 1, and they are there at the end. Do you guys see where I'm going? And who is one of... That's right. And I'm going to tell you just a couple of things before we finish up. Carly, I would bet the farm on it. Because I didn't think about this because, I've always, especially with the silver car, but the way that the other car has to come in, it would have to first let that person out. And yeah, that'd just be a mess. There's no, not saying it's not impossible, but that just seems like a whole lot of work. And they would have to let them out way before. And yeah, I think they were there the entire time. They're there before and they're after. And again, if you're kind of not as in touch with this case, the neighbor who lives directly behind Sebastian's home is one of these assholes. Somewhere right here, somewhere in here. One of these wannabe rent-a-cops. Again, respect for law enforcement, but one of these a-holes, and believe me, the reason I say a-hole is because I've seen some stuff that unfortunately I can't say. Eventually, I'm sure some of it will get out there, but there's stuff out there of him, and it's not good. I've seen a little bit firsthand, and it's not good. He is an asshole. He is, pardon my French, a fucking asshole and a lunatic. From what I saw. Holy shit. This is the same individual that was at the vigil freaking out. This is the same individual that has been seen time and time again when it comes to Sebastian related stuff since he went missing, doing some weird stuff. Some things I can't share at the moment, but others know, there's tons, I don't want to say tons, but there's people out there that know, and it'll all come to light. But I promise you, it's weird. It's almost like he's kind of like a scout, almost. But I think if one of the three were to break, KK, Crispy, or Carly, I think it would be him. I think if they could get to him, yeah, if the right, FBI or whatever, I think he's got something on his conscience. Allegedly, so if you don't know the backstory, and again, I'm just going to kind of finish this up, wrap it up, and read some chat for a minute. Allegedly, because, oh God, there's so much for those that are not familiar with this case, but there was 5 CPS reports. Sebastian was not living with his actual biological father. He was living with his mother and stepfather, Crispy, and they are terrible people, in my opinion. That's the stepfather. He's an absolute joke. Disgusting individual. Has made fun of this case. And he is just trash. absolute trash. He couldn't live there when Sebastian was there. Now his father, biological father, had temporary or partial custody and could only have him every other weekend. So that's what, 3 to 6 days a week, or excuse, oh Jesus, my math, 3 to 6 days a month, you know. So that means that majority of the time when Sebastian was there, and this was kind of towards the tail end of before he went missing, he couldn't be at home when Sebastian was home, which was most of the time, and that created a wedge. And there was, and he gave Katie an ultimatum. It is well known. You choose me or your son. Looks like she chose. And of course, there's so much more to go over. But the long thing is that that they lived here, and a certain individual may have, it's kind of interesting that the one house on the block is blurred out. Was allegedly possibly having relationships with Katie, because Katie needed help with Sebastian, and stepfather wasn't there. And I think he helped build her out along with Crispy in formulating this plan. But I think he has a guilty conscience. And when you look at this argument, and again, I think it's pretty sound. Again, there's still holes. There's still so much I don't know, right? But in this scenario, the way the car comes, and the fact that that light is there at the beginning and at the end, tells me, and he would just walk back home, and he would be out of the view, other than this camera here. All he'd have to do is just walk back to his home, and no one be the wiser. So I hope that was worth it. I kind of skipped some stuff. So I told you guys that I've done the reports, and these are some of the reports here. This is the report for the subject 1 and 2. And this is, again, hundreds of hours of using AI video, breaking down, taking screenshots of the videos, and getting color temperature. And there's so much we've learned. And this was, God, some of this stuff I did like 6 months to a year ago, somewhere in that range. But AI is getting better, and there's still so much more I can kind of, even though there's not a lot in this footage, there's still more to extract using this AI. But I would say these reports, for the most part, are pretty much done. There's just some filler that I would like to do. So let me read chat for a second. I'll just leave up this report. Oh, come on. There we go. Okay. Officer says 100% with you, Chris. Now, I know a lot of people want to think that Crispy came from Memphis to help out, and I think that's totally possible. I mean, he could have been driving a sedan for all we know. I actually would not be surprised if Crispy was the driver. And then he went and moved him over to the cemetery, and then they switched him out, and then did whatever, depending on if he was alive or not, which I pray he is, but you gotta keep an open mind, sadly, with this stuff. Oh, yeah. Yes, Chris Carr. Oh, so, I'm sorry. I didn't say that name. Carly, as we like to call him, the neighbor who allegedly had an affair. And it's kind of known that they were kind of allegedly an open couple. That's not the right term. Swingers. So it's no surprise that, obviously, yeah. But I think, because again, I've heard there's so much stuff after anything that involves Sebastian in the last like 2 years that's kind of been big behind the scenes. It's like stuff goes on. Carly has been seen. There's even video stuff, and again, I'm not going to get too specific because I don't want to get in trouble. But yeah, he's been seen multiple times in spots. It's like, why is he, what's he doing, here? But yeah. But that would make so much sense because, yes, and I think he would be the weakest link. It sounds like he is. I mean, with the vigil, I mean, he made such a big scene that the person that actually reported it wasn't even the one that he was around. I mean, he kind of was wandering around, but the one, the neighbor Bobby, I think he was around other people, but he made such a commotion that everybody could hear, some of the stuff. But yeah, he was it's so bad, it's so bad. I think, yeah, it's breaking on his conscience. And if you don't know, I don't think he works for HPD anymore. He was kind of like a rent-a-cop part-time. And then he does, I guess I shouldn't mention what he does. I can't think of it right now. I know it, but I can't. It's irrelevant. But he does something else. Yeah, I would not. So yeah, to end with that comment. Yeah, so I think just coming full circle with the other thing is Craddock knew. I would love, because imagine if this case breaks and this information gets out, and you could only imagine that. Let me get a close up at this a-hole.
Absolutely no evidence to support.
Oh, back to normal. I think when this case breaks, and it will, trust me, it will. Just give it time. This case breaks. I think, and you've seen how, in this day and age that you have all these former detectives breaking down all these different cases that are open, cold cases, or just have a break in the case, stages of cases, right? With YouTube and so anyway, I can only imagine when this gets broken, when this case breaks, imagine this shitstorm where all these former detectives go, why in the hell did you not, after the first 48 hours to, a week seems like crazy, especially if you think it's an abduction, because then you want to get it out there. Why in the hell you would not want to get this vehicle out there ASAP? The second your team could not figure out what they could, get that out to the public, get the approximate time frame of when that vehicle showed up around that home. Fuck what the Proud Feet think of that, whether, screw them, keep an eye on them. You can clearly, get somebody to keep an eye on them just in case they want to go, skip off to Mexico, Canada, whatever, and get that out there while people's memories were fresh. And God knows, who knows, say this 3M car left, and maybe they went to the cemetery, and I'm sure they put their license plate back on. But imagine, maybe a car was driving by again, maybe before, and it's like, oh, weird, I was behind this car that didn't have a license plate, and it was this kind of thing, and then, and it just snowballs from there. Just so many different, you could go so many routes. But again, they didn't do that. And I guarantee you they know that. And they are going to get absolutely buried, and they want this case just to go away. Want this case to go away. They knew they screwed up, and or there was, some internal shadiness going on, which, again, I hate going down that route, but in this case, the phone call with Crispy and the three-way, that there wasn't a 911, that already just sets it off. And then you have former HPD part-time guy involved in it. It just screams that there was inside connections to keep this hush-hush. And it's a shame. Absolute shame. Kiki says, I wonder if the gazebo, the home with the gazebo had cams. It may have. It may have. Lisa Boo, always blue line loyalty, corruption, or incompetence, in my opinion. Yeah, a little bit of everything. I think it's the goulash of that. Do you think the car that moves off cam got into the car from killing, meaning the car backed up the person and ran into the car, in my opinion? So that's what I thought originally. But if KK is already running back, why wouldn't you be already making your way to the vehicle, right? Because this vehicle is sitting there. The longer this vehicle sits there, every second counts, right? That somebody, because remember, the DoorDash driver literally, let's say if this happened between 3:10 and 3:20, that DoorDash driver comes up at like 3:25, somewhere between 3:25 and 3:30. Every second counts. So, not saying it's not possible, Kiki. But yeah, I would think that person would have already been trying to make their way, but they're there. Like, unfortunately I didn't have the best, video, because again, the quality is bad anyway, but if I had one that I had more cleaned up, it's definitely the subject one is there waiting at the end. Lisa Boo, in my opinion, extortion in play with the neighbor CC. Oh, extortion. Interesting. Hey, Bubby. Yes, Tessa. Yep, ride-alongs. Yep. Kind of getting, and now's when they're starting to get the surveillance and stuff. I think, yep, for sure. Oh, thank you, Kiki. Oh, I'm sure you've done a lot behind the scenes, and I'm sure you're working your angles. Yeah, Jenny, I agree. Yeah. So if you don't know much about Carly, and again, I'm not going to get into much detail because, it may just be Carly, allegedly. He has a wife. I think the wife had some health issues. And again, because, wife had probably nothing to do with this. And I've heard that lady was very, very sweet lady. So I don't want to but he is married. But she was sick at the time all of this was going down. But yeah, his actions and behavior, oh my gosh. I have to be careful what I say, but the reason why I say asshole, and I hate to say that to people that I don't really know, that I've just seen a few little incidents and they're documented, and he is unhinged over some ridiculous stuff that I'm just blown. blown away. And if people ever saw it, which one day they may well be, I can't speak. They'll probably see at one point, or possibly see if this breaks, and especially if he's involved, you'll see like, oh, yep, there was signs the entire time. So, all right, guys, I'm gonna head out. I'm so sorry. I've got 3 hours. Mods, God bless you guys. I'm gonna try to make up some lives. Again, it's just day to day, as always, with my stomach and stuff. But thank you to everybody. God bless you. It's so good to see you guys again, and taking all this time out of your night, day, morning, wherever you're at, to watch the show. I hope it was worth it. Not sure, Little Red, which ones we're talking about. Oh, thanks, Blondie. I appreciate that. Or Blonde Granny. I'm sorry, not Blondie. I'm sorry, Blonde Granny. Yeah, he does. Are you talking about CC? Yeah. Thank you, Pocahontas. And it's good to see D, Sassy, Sensei. Yeah, as a matter of fact, Sassy and Pocahontas, if you could email me, it doesn't have to be tonight, tomorrow. So when you get a second, if you could just email me, just say hi, just so I can, I know I've got your guys' emails, but if you could, because I've been trying to clean up my emails, but if you guys could email me, because I want to do something for the mod appreciation here soon. So I want to reach out to some of you ladies. So again, thank you to the mods. Thank you to the members. God bless you guys. Thank you to everybody in chat, and Patreons as well. And if I missed anybody, I apologize. And with that, yeah, Crispy, yeah. Yeah, we have nicknames. That way it's kind of legal purposes. We try to have nicknames or use initials. So, yeah. All right, we're going to get out of here. All right, guys, much love. I'll quickly play an outro. Maybe, hopefully tomorrow, maybe we'll have some time, and if there's any newer members, we can, if they want to send in their pet photos, we can do that. So, all right, guys. Hopefully we'll see you tomorrow. And of course, usually I've been doing videos for the Nancy Guthrie case, but probably go back and forth. Of course, Sebastian will always be, number one. But there's only so much we can go over when there's nothing really going on. So, all right, guys. Much love. See you guys really soon.
You in my sight, I keep all the words you said to me. I get you on your knees, rewriting all the things you said that I should be. I'll get you, now you beg me please. Hey, now I stay away, you were never meant to save me. Now I stay away, I'll hear you say you're sorry.